US President Joe Biden has warned it'll be a disaster for Russia if it invades Ukraine. The Kremlin has massed around 100,000 troops and heavy combat equipment near Ukraine's borders and sought guarantees that NATO will not expand further east. Mr. Biden says the outcome lies in the hands of the Russian president.
Nobody else is going to make that decision. No one else is going to impact that decision. He's making that decision. And I suspect it matters which side of the bed he gets up on in the morning as to exactly what he's going to do. We have no problem understanding one another. He has no problem understanding me, nor me him. And the direct conversations were, I pointed out, I said, you've occupied before other countries, but the price has been extremely high. How long? You can go in and over time, at great loss and economic loss, go in and occupy Ukraine. But how many years? 1, 3, 5, 10? Militarily, they have overwhelming superiority as it relates to Ukraine. But they'll pay a stiff price immediately, near term, medium term, and long term if they do it.
With more on the increasingly tense situation on the Russia-Ukraine border, here is our international analyst, Stan Grant.
Hi, Roz.
Hi there, Stan. So set the scene for us, first of all, if you could. What's happening on the border there in terms of the Russian military build-up, and why is Russia there?
Well, the why is a very, very long question. Of course, we know there's already been a conflict. The last conflict there claimed about 13,000 lives, displaced 2 million people. We saw Russia annex Crimea, Russia supporting pro-Russian troops that control parts of Ukraine, triggered by a concern that Russia has that there is an effort to pull Ukraine further to the west, outside of Russian influence. You heard there Joe Biden talking there about what the price Russia is prepared to pay. Well, they've got 100,000 troops up on the border right now. There is concern, and Anthony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, has said that you can expect an invasion at any time. And a warning, as Joe Biden has said, that Russia will pay a price. But is Russia prepared to pay that price? Because what we're talking about here is Russia's identity, Russia's history, the sense of historical humiliation that we know Vladimir Putin talks about a lot. He talks about the collapse of the Soviet Empire as the great geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century. Russia believes that there has been, post the end of the Soviet Empire, an increasing encroachment of NATO. And yes, there has been an increasing encroachment of NATO up to Russia's borders, in violation, Russia says, of commitments that were made to it by the United States after the end of the Soviet Union. So you have some fundamental questions here. What Russia believes is its own, believes is its own sphere of influence, believes historically belongs to it. Ukraine is important historically, spiritually, culturally. It is seen as part of Russia, as Russia would see it, and that they are prepared to pay the price. And are they prepared to stare down the United States that Russia believes is in a weakened position?
So US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is due to meet the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov very soon.
Friday, I think, yeah.
Friday. So what does Anthony Blinken have in his diplomatic arsenal, if you like? How much of a compromise is the US likely to make in order to prevent this invasion if it goes there?
He has said, and you're right, invasion if it goes there, he has said that it could happen at any time. He has said that they are pursuing vigorous diplomacy, getting the European countries on side, trying to reach out to Russia and create a diplomatic solution to this. Getting those ducks in a row are difficult as well, because we know that countries in Europe also rely on Russia, rely on supplies of Russian energy, which is vitally important during a European winter. So there are those concerns to factor in as well. Anthony Blinken says if Russia does invade, that there will be a price that they pay with sanctions. If you go back to what happened previously with the annexation of Crimea, there were stiff sanctions imposed on Russia as a result of that. It cost, I think it shaved about 1.5% off Russian GDP. But they were prepared to pay that price. That's what they were prepared to pay to achieve their aims. There are questions now about the impact of sanctions and whether a country like China would uphold those sanctions. China is Russia's biggest economic trading partner. Would China continue to trade with blacklisted Russian companies? So there is that question, and we know that Russia and China have grown increasingly closer as well. So Anthony Blinken has the threat of sanctions. He says that they will support Ukraine economically, support them with weapons, even as Joe Biden concedes that Russia still has overwhelming force. But is Russia going to listen? And is Vladimir Putin going to take that seriously? And Vladimir Putin has been here before, of course, and he says, what did you do last time? Nothing. When we annexed Crimea? What did you do in Syria when you threatened red lines should not be crossed and did nothing, and then that allowed Russia to increase its influence in the Middle East and in Syria, propping up the Assad regime? So really we have this staring match right now, 100,000 troops, the threat of conflict, threats from the United States in retaliation if that happens, and does Vladimir Putin take that seriously enough not to act? That's the big question.